I've uploaded my last video in October 2018, which is 1.5 years ago. Oh my god, it has been so long. So I thought that I would do a knitting 1.5 years in review, and I am going to talk about what I've been knitting. I will show you my top 3 projects, the worst projects that I've made since then. Then I will talk about some knitting memories from the time, and then I will also dig a little bit into my stuff and show you some things that I've been picking up since then. So, what have I been knitting? One of my favorite features, so here I'm just starting off with a top tip. When you are on your project page in Ravelry and you scroll all the way down, there is this kind of section where it says how much yarn you have been using for each of your projects. And all of these like numbers and everything I'm talking about is since October 2018. So it says that I have been knitting 10,369 meters since October 2018. Is it a lot? I don't know. Is it little? I don't know. Those like 10,000 meters, I made 15 projects off, and I didn't count my work in progresses. So I made 1 baby romper, 2 cardigans, 1 hat, 1 pair of knickers, actually talk about more about them later, 2 pair of mittens, 1 shawl, 2 pair of socks, 4 sweaters, and 1 top. So I will start with my top 3 projects. Number 3. This is the sweater Treista, and the pattern is by Jennifer Steingass, and I made it in Lättlopi, the Icelandic wool. I made an Icelandic yoke sweater for my boyfriend, which I really like knitting. I also made that in Lättlopi. And then in January 2019, I went to Iceland for a conference with work. And of course, I wanted to have my own Icelandic knitted sweater when in Iceland. So I actually blocked it in the hotel room. I think that's a classic, isn't it? I blocked it in the hotel room, and then I had it when we went like out for this tour. Yeah, it's one of my favorites, and I really love it. But then it's also really warm, of course, and you can't, or like I can't wear it too often. Yeah, but it's really nice, dear to my heart. My second favorite is Meg, designed by Junko Okamoto, and I made this in a Shetland 3-ply that I bought at like a garage sale. One reason why I chose it was because it's a 1 size in the pattern, and I thought it was like so easy. I don't think I made a swatch. It's just like cast on and go. But this one, I remember that I watched the TV series Kingdom. That's a Korean series on Netflix. While I knitted it was for the first season. It's a nice memory somehow, remembering how I sat there, knitted a sweater, watched the TV series. And especially the arms have kind of a unconditional, or like a unusual shape, as you can see. But it's like this, it's oversized, and it's like the sweater that you just throw over, and it always looks good, and it's like a cozy, easy to wear piece, and was really fun to knit, and it went really fast as well. So that's why I love it. And then we are coming to my favorite, the top knitting project of the 1.5 years. And that's this one. Oh, it's so cozy. I love it. I love the yarn. It's like, oh. Okay, so this sweater is called Tampere, designed by Anna Strandberg of Dandelion Yarns. But I didn't make it in one of her yarns, but I used a yarn called Walcott Opus for this, and it's a 30% alpaca and 70% Falkland merino. This also is quite a oversized sweater. It's sport weight yarn. I knitted on 3mm needles, I think. And this is like, that's kind of a pattern in these three, that all of these three sweaters I kind of knit quite fast. I didn't drag out too much. I didn't have to rip anything out. Oh, I did with this one, by the way. I remember now when I started it that I think I had the wrong gauge and then I had to start over, but I only had like come like this far or so. I really like it, and one of the main reasons is the yarn, because it's like so cozy and soft, and I love the color, and it really was so wonderful to knit with as well. And then I really like love the details, like for example on the neckline there is this kind of like this pearl ridge before the rib for the neckline starts, and I really think that's nice. Yeah, like just like the overall, like the structural pattern on it is really, I really like it. So now we are going to continue with the worst projects, what didn't really work out as I planned or had wanted it to. On number 3, I have yet another sweater. This is called the Cantilever sweater by a like pattern company called Scala Designs. I think they're here from Sweden. I made it in a yarn called Retrosaria Mundo, which is a Portuguese yarn, 50% cotton, 50% Portuguese wool. And this yarn used to be a different cardigan. So I had made a cardigan in this, Bright Cardigan by Kim Hargreaves. I didn't like it. I frogged the whole thing, which was a nightmare because there was a cardigan knitted in pieces. So I had all these side seams that I ripped out. I washed the yarn, and then I made this sweater because I saw the pattern and I really liked it. And I thought, I have this cardigan in the yarn that this one was designed for, and I'm not using it so much. I don't really like it. And then I made this one, and I like this sweater more than I did the cardigan that it used to be, but it's still not my favorite. The side seam of the arm is a little bit too far out, and the yarn is quite thick as well, and it's a little bit bulky, and I mean it's nothing really wrong with it, but it's just not a favorite of mine. And when thinking that I like frocked this whole sweater, like knit the yarn again, washed everything, like so many hours just doing that, so maybe it wasn't really worth it. Second worst project I made are the knickers that I talked about. Pattern is Maya's Mamelucker. So Maya's Knitted Knickers by Maja Karlsson. And I really love the pattern. I think they now when I look at them, they're quite nice. They're quite beautiful. I love this detail on the side, and I think they're really nice, but they are too big. And this kind of garment, you really would want to have quite close fitting. So like when you're wearing a skirt or a dress in the winter, you can have these underneath when it's really cold. And these are too big, and I just feel like wearing a diaper when I wear these. So, and like, you don't feel really good when you feel like you're wearing a diaper. Yarn is Visjögarn, which is a Swedish sport weight wool yarn, which is so lovely. They are like really still woolly, but really soft. Yeah, but just the diaper feeling is like, it's not so cool. So, the worst thing, the greatest disaster of this 1.5 year is this. This is a pair of socks, which I loved when I made them, when I wore them for the first like a couple of weeks, but then everything started getting worse. So this pattern is called the Nemesis Socks by Ambrose Smith, and I made these in Retrosaria Mondim, which is a 100% wool sock yarn, and I love the yarn. I thought it was so cozy to knit with, but either I have like my shoes are the worst, or I don't know, because these really like started to fall apart. Not fall apart, but like I got holes kind of like after I think 6 weeks. I finished those in September 2019, and then I think I couldn't like wear them anymore in December. Then I was a good gal and mended these, which is not too much fun actually. I think I did that twice. First I used duplicate stitch, and then I did kind of this like weave usual like thingy that you do, and that holds up a little bit better. And then I put this back into my sock drawer, and I have a problem with bugs in that drawer. So then when I mended the holes from like wear and tear, I got holes because I had some bugs in that drawer, and now they are living in this bag, and I don't know if I still want to try to freeze them and mend them again, but like the hole is substantial, and I don't even want to take them out of the Ziploc bag because I don't because yeah, I don't want to have bugs everywhere in my house, and I don't know if I want to try to mend them again because they're probably going to get like another hole eventually again. So quite unhappy with those. So let's talk about stash. And yes, I have bought some yarn during this time as well. Who could have thought? So I have downloaded a whole Excel sheet with all of the data on my stash. And I looked it up what has happened since October 2018. And I have bought 4.8 kilos of yarn, which is 65 skeins. And that is 16,979 meters or 18,569 yards. Wow. I mean, if you say it like that, it really sounds a lot. I'm not sure if it is so much. It really sounds a lot. And then in the same time, as I said before, I had knit with like 10,000 meters. So I guess I've kind of added to my stash 6,000 meters of yarn. Which, I don't know, meters maybe doesn't make sense at all, but it sounds like a lot. Yeah, but I love yarn, so it's fine. I love it. I want us to show you 3 things, yarn skeins, that I think belong together and that I am excited to knit with. It's like not what I will knit with, what I have planned, but just I'm excited about these, so I wanted to show you. First one is this one, Silke Tweed by Magazine Duet, and this is a sport weight yarn and silk blend. And I already made a swatch. I think it's really nice. I really like it. And I want to make a cardigan Ramona Light with it by Elizabeth Smith. And I really just want like a basic everyday casual cardigan. Then I have these guys. Oh, like, you can see that I love yarn. Yeah. This is a sock yarn called Skew 100% Merino Superwash hand dyed. This color is called Salvia, and I have matching skeins of mohair, 22 kid mohair, 28 silk. And I want to make these into a shawl, and I want to knit Rosy Blooms by Stephen West. It's like a shawl design. I haven't seen so many people, or I haven't like anybody seen knitting it, but I really like it. It's like this lace shawl with a lace all over pattern, and then it has a brioche border, where the mohair is used. And I haven't knitted in mohair too much, or like almost nothing at all. So I'm really looking forward to this, and I'm like imagining wearing a jeans jacket and then like having this summery shawl in these colors. And then I have these guys, and they are very special and dear to my heart. This one is a sock yarn by an indie dye who's a friend of mine, Fröken Lilas Färgeri. Her name is called Lena Osterman, and I will also link her down below. And it's also superwash merino and nylon sock yarn. And this was kind of a skein that I think she just mashed together some colors. She didn't think that she wanted to reproduce this later or anything. So I really love it. I just saw it, and I don't usually fall for speckles too much, and I have no idea what I'm going to knit with it. But I just loved it so much. So yeah, it just had to come home with me. So beautiful. And then I have kind of a matching pair to this. The yarn is, let me see, it's the Border Mill Alpaca and Rose. And my friend dyed this with nettles. She's also a designer, Christine Blum. She has like very nice designs, and she does some yarn which I don't think she usually sells. No, I don't think so. But sometimes she gives them away to friends or something. So yeah, this one is so lovely, and I bought it on the same, or got it on the same occasion, and I somehow thought that these two fit really well together. So maybe if I can get a third one, maybe like a pink or like rose something, and then that would make for a nice shawl probably. So these were the 3 things in my stash that I am excited about. And lastly, I wanted to talk about some fun things that I did throughout the year, like that are knitting related. And I'm just taking this in order as I like experienced them. So in November 2018, I went to Barcelona to the festival Barcelona Knits. And that was such a lovely time. We were a group of friends who went there. It was a lovely festival, and I also went to a workshop with Jorge Locatelli on how to design a sweater. And I haven't done that yet, but that's something kind of on my bucket list. I mean, I haven't done like any design yet, but that's something that would be really nice. And in that class, it felt like, it's not so complicated as you might think. Like, you have to do the work, put in the work, but maybe that's still doable. Another really nice memory from the year that has passed was that I went to a friend of mine at her summer house. She invited me and another friend, and we did some natural dyeing where I dyed this among 2 other skeins. So this one was dyed with madder, and then we did a batch with birch as well. And like this, her house is in the middle of nowhere. It's like this Swedish countryside paradise. So we went there and collected the birch leaves ourselves and like stirred it up and cooked the whole thing and then dyed the yarn. And it was just this lovely weekend of like hanging out with friends, doing some yarn stuff, learning some new things, and like knitting, of course. That was really, really nice. And then the last one that I wrote on my list here was the Swedish podcast Stick Kontakt organized a kind of retreat and like not really festival but a market. So there were like maybe 30 people who stayed at a hotel and did some knitting a whole weekend, also in the countryside. It was so beautiful there. And then there was also this yarn market with amazing dyers, amazing people. And it's always nice to catch up with friends and meet new friends and just have a ton of time and knit together and see new yarns and talk about new patterns and just nerd out. So that was everything that I wanted to say. If you want to keep up, then you can subscribe. Then you can see if I do upload or not. We'll see. In the meantime, happy knitting, and I will see you soon. Thank you. Bye.